Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Wanted to do a quick tabletop review on this Sig P226 X5 Legion. We'll just go over some things that I've witnessed in the first two matches that I shot. Go over some specs, show you some things, talk about my review real quick. I'm going to try to be as fast as possible, but it's really hard for me to cover everything so quickly. But guys, this gun is awesome. I've had about 300 rounds through it, two matches, about 100 rounds apiece each match. The gun has ran flawlessly. The only problem I ran into was when I went to load and make ready, and I cocked the gun, and I kind of let the gun go a little easy, and it didn't go fully into battery. I had to tap the gun into battery, but that was during my load and make ready before I holstered it to do my stage, and that was all my fault. Any of these nice tightly fit guns, you can't just softly load and make ready the gun. You got to kind of be a little more aggressive with it, or the bullet won't go into the chamber because of how tight they're put together, and that's normal. So that was my fault. So the gun has been 100% reliable out of the box. This is the second time I cleaned it. Was right after the second match. I didn't clean it in between matches, so it's been great so far. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that real quick. Let's go over the trigger. I'm going to try to go fast. As you can see, that is the take-up. That is all the take-up you have. 0.5 millimeter tops. Maybe 1/4 millimeter. Break. Let me show you the reset. Reset. Yeah, right there. That's all. Like I said, that's the take-up. Trigger is fantastic. We'll go over, let's go ahead and show you the trigger pulls real quick. Let's turn this thing on. Alright, let me show you the trigger pull real quick on this gun while we're on the table. Well, that was 1 pound 7 ounces, so that's even better than it was when I first tried it before I shot the matches. Let's clear that and try it again. Let's see if that was just a fluke. That was extremely light. That's lighter than about any gun that I have. I did do it on the bottom. Let's see if we can do that again. Oh, didn't read that time. I gotta clear it. Sorry guys. Anybody that's run these trigger gauges, you know they're kind of finicky a little bit. That was 2 pounds 6.9 ounces, so 2 pounds 6 ounces. That's a bit more accurate based off what I've done in the past. Let me see if that first pull was a fluke, or if that really was the pull that I should have got. 2 pounds 7 ounces. So let's just say that first pull was a fluke, because I have done these several times. Maybe for some reason it just broke a little easier that time. But usually it is right under 3 pounds, which is, I think, the perfect for IDPA competition. It's not supposed to be an open gun, and I think at this weight you could carry it, especially with a safety, a manual safety. So let's say the gun is more 2.7 ounces trigger wise, which is excellent. You've seen the take up and the smoothness is unbelievable. One of the best triggers I have. But yeah, 2.7 ounces. Okay guys, let's turn that off, and let's go on to the next thing. Okay, let's talk about the red dot. This is a 507 comp. This is the first two matches I've ever run with the 507 comp. This is the green dot, and I have to say I love it. I love the window size. It was almost impossible to lose the dot, to not find the dot when you drew the gun. It's going to be hard to go back to my other dots because this is the only one I've got this size. But yeah, I really like the dot. But we're not reviewing the dot, we're reviewing the gun. I just want to talk about how well it worked. But there you go, you can see the gun. Alright, so people asked, is this IDPA legal on a forum? And I did tell them yes, and I'll tell you why. They've looked at the specs and they said, well, the gun is too wide for IDPA by like 1.5 millimeters or so. It was too wide. And guys, I went ahead and took a and stoned down these safeties on both sides, about 1 millimeter on both sides here. I stoned them down and blued both sides. It's just the safety. I was a little bit concerned. You don't want to take and sand down something on a $2,000 gun, but I've done this kind of work before, and I thought, well, it's just the safety. These aren't finished in a real good finish anyway. I'm not too worried about it. I could replace the safety. If it was any of the parts on the gun I had to sand down, that would be a different story. But like I said, I'm sure this is just a standard 226 safety, and you could get it replaced fairly easy, I hope. But I didn't check into that before I did it. I went ahead and just got brave and decided to do that. But it does fit in the box now, and it does meet width. I could show you with some calipers as well, but I'll just show you in this box I made up. I have measured in the calipers. I know it's about half a millimeter under spec, but I also made up this box, and this box is not, it's not exactly you know, perfectly to IDPA spec, in the sense of it ain't been evaluated by their measurement tools or anything like that. But I made this box myself to the specs, excuse me, and I tried to lean on the side of it being a little bit smaller over being a little larger, just so that I can make sure that my guns do qualify for IDPA. So I tried to lean on the side of making this box smaller, if anything, but it is really, really close. I would say it's within 1/4 of a millimeter in every measurement of the actual IDPA box. So if it fits in this box, it should fit in the real let's say level 4 matches the way their boxes will fit. And as you can see, it's really tight, and you got to put their gun in their very specific way. But there's not much movement that can be done in the box, very little movement, but you can see it's well within the tolerance of the box. Now let's put the lid on it. And this box was actually a little bit too narrow when I first got it, so I put some felt things on it to give it a little bit more width, and I think it still leans on the side of a little bit narrow, but it's extremely close to spec now. So yeah, I can put this on. There's no wobble. As you can see, there's no wobble in the you know, there's no wobble in it. Put it here, no wobble. So it does fit in there, and like I said, even on the calipers, the safeties is about half a millimeter or maybe a millimeter under the spec of the width for IDPA width wise, as far as the maximum width goes. So the gun is compatible with Carry Optics division. I'll also show you the weight to prove that even further. Let's get this out. All right, guys, weight is 2 pounds 10.6 ounces. 2 pounds 10.6 ounces. So that would be 32 plus 10, that would be 42.6 ounces. So you got about 2 ounces to spare. The maximum is 45 ounces in Carry Optics, and you have 2 ounces to spare with this gun. So it meets weight, it meets size, it meets width. Everything about it should be good for any level 4 matches or level 3 matches in IDPA. If I wanted to take this gun to state, it should fit perfectly well within the tolerances. All right, now let's talk about personal opinions. Excuse me, guys. Let's talk about kind of personal opinions on the gun real quick. I'll try to be quick with that as well. So, the gun shoots. First off, let's say the trigger is amazing. We didn't went over that. I didn't show you the trigger. Trigger is one of the best triggers I have, even amongst the Masterpiece arms. This is excellent trigger. This trigger is just as good. Just so you know, if you ask which trigger is better between that and a nice 2011, I would say almost equal. Very, very good. If not, some ways this exceeds the nice 2011's triggers in some ways. Okay, guys, so the trigger is excellent. The way the gun feels, I love this gas pedal right here for my thumb. I've got kind of small to medium hands, and that just fits me great. Even the ledge for the safety, it all works great. Even though I've thinned down the safety, didn't make a difference. It still makes a nice ledge to hold the gun flat. And I like guns that shoot soft. This one, of all my guns, is probably, I would say, as far as the recoil into the hand experience, the softest gun that I have almost. I mean, it's really, really, really close, if not the softest. And I think off the top of my head, it is the softest gun. Now the negative, which is not really a negative, but because these tend to have a little bit of a higher bore axis, maybe even slightly more than a 1911, I feel like even with the comp, the gun has a little bit more bounce to it. So when you're firing it, there's hardly any energy going into your hand. I mean, it feels like the gun is not even hardly pushing on your hand at all. So you don't get hardly any pushback, which is excellent. But you do have just a bounce. It's like a weird bounce that I have to get used to, and it's nothing wrong with it. Some people might even like it, and it returns to zero really fast and really well. But I think because I'm used to some of the other guns shooting a little bit flatter without that bounce, I haven't got the confidence that it's going to zero like I probably should have, or like a little bit more experience I would have. So I find myself delaying that double tap second shot on targets. So when it's best two per target, I find myself under recoil making sure my dot is where it needs to be, because I haven't found the confidence in the gun yet. Like I said, 250 or 300 rounds. So not enough rounds to dig the gun about that problem, because that's me. That's just not enough experience with the gun. But I have found that with, let me show you. So with the ported Canic I have here, I've got enough rounds to this gun where I feel confident the gun is going to go back. And I feel like this gun does shoot flatter. Slightly more felt recoil into the hand than the Sig, but the gun does shoot flatter. Now it is a little bit louder. These ports do produce a little bit more blast, a little bit louder blast around the shooter. I don't really notice it myself, but I think the people that are running the timer and stuff in competition do notice it, and they kind of gripe about it a little bit, but it's really not that bad. But this gun does shoot flatter, I think, than the Sig does, but the Sig does shoot softer. So if that means anything to you, take it or leave it, but it's a good comparison. I think it's something good worth noting. Same thing with the Masterpiece. I think the Masterpiece is the perfect in-between. I'll say this is the flattest with the ports, and I think because it's striker fired, the Canic striker fired, it is a little below bore axis than the 1911 and the Sig, and so it has less bounce. And the Masterpiece is right in between the Sig. It's hard to beat this slide though. But anyway, this one is ported V6 ports, and it shoots extremely flat and soft. It's right in between these two. This one's a little softer, Canic's a little flatter. This one's right in between. Good balance of both. So a little faster return to zero, a little flatter, and a little softer than the Canic. If that makes any sense. I hope that does. Anyway, just wanted to give you that kind of opinion to give you a better description of kind of how this P26 feels. So you do have a little bit of bounce, and it's almost a strange sensation because it's so soft, but it just bounces, bounce, 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 and anyway, comes right back to zero pretty well. I've just got to get used to that sensation to kind of have the same par times that I have with the other weapons. But anyway, I hope that this video gives you some clarity. Like I said, 300 rounds in, I would say this is almost tied in the sense of how good this gun is. It's excellent compared to the Masterpiece, which is more money, or say the Canic, which is less money. So it's right in between. This one is right in between the Canic and the Masterpiece as far as price, but I have to say that they all are excellent guns to shoot, and you'll have a smile on your face if you shoot any of these guns. I mean, they're just fantastic. Can't beat them. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section, and please like and subscribe to this video. It takes a lot of time and work and trying to get your thoughts together, and sometimes even takes several takes to get it the way you want to and not leave something out. So we covered the weight, we covered the trigger pull, the trigger weight as well, and showed you that it does fit in the box. Well, God bless, guys. Have a great day. Like I said, please like and subscribe and leave any questions and comments below. Out.